Hello, hello. I am so excited to see you today. It took me a moment to get on, but hey, I am here and we have such an exciting topic today. So, today we're going to talk about why cultural fit matters for your teen's college list. Let me tell you, over the years of doing this work, I have worked with thousands of students. And of the two students that I've had who have transferred in freshman year, both of them transferred because of the cultural fit. And so this topic is really near and dear to my heart because I know that it is so important as you think about your own teen who is working through their college list right now. And especially if you have a junior, they're starting to think about campus visits as well. And so we're going to touch on that. But I want to really talk with you about cultural fit and why it matters to their list. I am Dr. Pamela Ellis. I am excited to see you here. And if you haven't already signed up for my newsletter, which is College Prep for Your Teen, I invite you to do so. It has some wonderful information that will support you as you are guiding your teen through this process. And I know as a mom of three how stressful this time can be because oftentimes our teens will hear things differently from us than they do from a third party. And it can cause a bit of tension at home. I already know that for sure. And the information that I'm sharing with you is about saving the relationship with your teen. You want to be able to enjoy these remaining years of high school before they go away and just keep your peace at home. You don't have time to be arguing with them about college lists and all of that. So that's what I'm here for, and I'm excited for it. So, one of the things that I did just yesterday, I'll share this with you briefly. I was working with some students. It was a group of students where I serve as the college counselor for them in DC. And as I'm working with the students, we did an exercise. They're all juniors. We did an exercise around fit and how they could think about finding the right colleges that were a good fit for them. And one of the things that I shared with them is that fit always starts with them. And the entire college process even starts with your teen. And what I guided them in doing is this activity where I shared with them each factor of fit. There's five of them. And as I went through the factors, I had students write down exactly their, you know, personal fit factor for that area. Okay. So it went something like this. So I shared with them the first one, which is academic fit. And I asked them to write down what is it they were interested in majoring in. Some students knew, some students were undecided. So it was a pretty broad range. And then I also asked them to write down their learning preferences as far as if they preferred a seminar, a lecture, or something some more like student faculty interactions. And then I asked them, along with that, what type of support did they need to really thrive academically, whether it was having study abroad programs, being able to do research, or perhaps they had an IEP and would need some type of accommodations. So that was the academic factor. And each student wrote down how that applied to them personally. I went through the other factors as well, which were social, financial, vocational, and cultural. Cultural. And after the exercise, I asked students if anyone wanted to join me and go through a demonstration of how they would apply these personal factors to their list. And I had this student volunteer named Lee. And when Lee came up, we went through the factors and he shared very openly how each one applied to him. And he admitted, from an academic standpoint, he really preferred a lecture as opposed to small group seminars because he felt uncomfortable sometimes in that arena. So we got to the cultural fit. And this kid was really self-aware, I would say, and very introspective as he thought about, what the cultural fit would mean for him. And a couple of things he said that, just really stood out for me. One, he said that he's from New Jersey. And the fact that people oftentimes will stereotype folks from New Jersey, that was something that would be part of the cultural fit factor for him. And then, secondly, he stated that he doesn't like to assert himself. And that was a consideration as to what the cultural environment would be like in college, because he's not that student who would assert himself. Now, I haven't had, many students who are that introspective about it. Sometimes they'll say some of the basic things like economic, regional, race, or ethnicity, and not really some of those deeper personality aspects about them. And so this was great. And so with that, we went through then, just what were some colleges that could be great environments for him that would match with all of those 5 fit factors. And on the cultural side, one of the considerations for him was around being in an environment where, you have perhaps a lot of group work or students who are aggressive, or a culture of a cutthroat environment, and just kind of making sure that, that's something that he would certainly be aware of and be able to assess as he's doing his visits. So the cultural fit, as I started with the outset, it really matters. And with the 2 students that I've had over the years who have transferred, it was around the cultural fit. And I want to give you 3 key ways that the cultural fit really matters in choosing those colleges, the right colleges for your team. Number 1 is when the cultural fit is right, students have an opportunity to engage in campus life, and they build more meaningful relationships when they have that right cultural fit. Secondly, when the cultural fit is right, then students will stay motivated academically. Just like I mentioned with the 2 students that I've worked with over the years who ended up transferring, they really did lose motivation academically when that college wasn't a good cultural fit for them. The other factors of fit were all there, but that cultural piece somehow just really drove everything else. And with one of the students I'll share with you, she was going from the Midwest, moved from the Midwest to a Southern campus. And with her in the first semester, the college had a strong emphasis with sororities. And she was that young woman who really wasn't sure about it, but she found that if she didn't get involved, then there would be some issues around friendships that she had established. And so she really felt that pressure. And it just really was upsetting in a lot of ways. And she withdrew, not only academically, but also socially as well. And so the cultural fit, when it's not right, it can really override other aspects of the college experience. The third one is when students are in the right cultural fit, it also allows them to develop the resilience to deal with stressful situations like homesickness, which oftentimes can come up in freshman year. For my second student, a young man who ended up transferring, for him, I felt like, homesickness could have been part of it for him. He was going from the East Coast to the West Coast. And of course, the weather is great out there, and he'd have to deal with any, rough winters anymore or anything like that. But when he got there, he found that it was more of a party school than he had assumed it would be. And also, given the fact that he was not located on the main campus, the culture, the ability to really develop relationships among, all types of students was limited because he was on a separate campus than the main campus, although it was in the same city. And so that really played a role in him just really not being able to deal with that lack of fit for him and caused him to go ahead and transfer even after the first semester of college there. And so, again, when the cultural fit is right, it can really support students with thriving academically, thriving socially, and even in their resilience to deal with the stressful situations that oftentimes will come up through college, whether it's the exams or whether it's homesickness in any school year. So cultural fit matters. And so I want to wrap up. And again, if you're not on my email list, you're not getting the newsletter, which has all these really great tips and insights called College Prep for Your Teen, please be sure to get that. And I will add the link in the chat for you. But when you're thinking about campus visits that are coming up, that is a key way to really assess the cultural fit. I can't understate enough the importance of going on a campus visit and doing the visit in person, actually making it a formal visit where your teen registers and you participate in both the information session as well as the tour. That will help and go a long way in terms of assessing the cultural fit for a campus because it is so very important. And a couple of things that I'll also add is, even prior to the visit and at some point in high school, having that values conversation with your teen, talking about what their values are, what your own values are, sharing those with your teen. That conversation can go a long way in terms of, again, supporting your teen with making sure that they are choosing those colleges that are indeed going to be a good cultural fit for them. Now, all 5 of the fit factors matter. I have seen in my experience that cultural fit oftentimes can trump other factors of fit. And so really making sure to include that factor, because oftentimes when we're thinking about, where our teen may be going to college or where they may be applying, we're thinking about things like location, we're thinking about whether or not they can play their sport or what the major is or some other things like that, without even considering how important the cultural fit will be. I wanted to add one more point here, and it was, oh, I just thought of it. It was assessing the support that's going to be available. And all the colleges will have a level of support for your student, whether or not they already have some type of accommodations in high school. There will be academic support, there'll be mental health counseling that's available in college. So, a myriad of ways that colleges are supporting their success when they're there. And when you're doing the campus visit, you can often find out about what resources are available. And then let me go back for a minute because I mentioned about values. And, one of the questions that your teen can consider, a great reflection question, would be, what values do they want their college to reflect? And looking at the values of that college and considering how those match up with what their values are or what your family's values are as well. So I did want to come back to that. This subject, this topic for me is one where I can just talk all day about it because I know its importance and know that sharing it with you will cause you to think about it differently in terms of how you're supporting your teen with their success on their college prep journey and really asking some questions that can support their success while they're in college. And while we're preparing them for success in college, there are some things sometimes we may overlook. And I really do want to share with you so that there are these important factors that are not overlooked in any way and that they're considered because it can make a huge difference in their success in college. Because as a parent, I know for sure you want your teen to thrive when they're there. And no one wants to get that phone call that they want to leave or come back home. You want them to thrive and go on to do all of the amazing things that they want to do in life. So I look forward to talking with you again. I thank you so much for joining me today. And I will post in the chat the link for you to make sure that you're getting our newsletter, College Prep for Your Teen. And we'll look forward to joining you next time. So thanks so much, and I'll talk with you later.